What's going on, traders, and welcome to my stream. In this video, we're going to talk about how today I am up 13K, shorting a ticker here that I like to discuss. The ticker is, hold on a second, we're going to discuss this ticker so you can get the pretty much the inside and the outside of this ticker. So today was a very interesting day. As you know, the market goes from different cycles: the bull cycle, the bear cycle, the no market cycle, and the bottomless pit cycle. So today we transitioned. I think 3 weeks ago there was GFI. That's 3 weeks ago. I think 4 weeks ago GFI started this whole kind of a movement of all these small cap securities that are just pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing. And that was 4 weeks ago. That was not 3 weeks ago. That was 3 weeks ago. So today is the fourth week. So what happens the first 2 weeks, it gets very crazy to get traders excited. And by the time traders get excited, the amateur, the average Joe that sees a lot of 1000% movers, by the time average Joe comes into the market, which is too late, we transition almost immediately or a couple days later into a more of a gap and crap market. That doesn't mean there's no opportunities in the market. It's just the sentiment has already changed. In the market, whenever you have the most amount of bears in the market, that's when you should be bullish. When you have the most amount of bulls in the market, that's when you gotta be bearish. So we've been on a 4 week cycle, 4 week cycle in which, the first 2 weeks is very strong for bulls, and then the next 2 weeks is very strong for bears, and then you have a transition period of possible no market or bottomless pit market, and then we have another thing like GFI that moved from like 20 cents, $5 to like $50 or something. So anyway, after this video, gonna talk all about my trade and how everything went. So let's get everything settled here. In the morning, we were trading, I think, two securities, if I were gonna say. The security this morning were very pretty much simple this morning. We didn't have that many movers. I think the most important mover, I think, in the morning was this one, BXRX and Viri. So BXRX, this was the trade in the morning. BXRX, this was a little bit more choppy than usual, I would have to say. The ticker pretty much came into my scanner, and I was mentioning it as we pretty much just gapped up really heavily this morning. Um, and this ticker was pretty much BXRX. And hold on, let me see if I can get the timing in which I got this BXRX on my scanner. So this was it. So BXRX, positive phase two, started long at 213, stopped at $3. So that was my trade number one here. So BX going. So the entry I got in was at right here 213, and right into the second 1 minute candle to make a new high. Technically, I should have went in at like 305 or maybe bought on this dip here at $3. But I saw the pop, I saw phase two, I got in, and then immediately I had a pretty much a 10% gain from here to here. I didn't take it. I did get stopped out. As you can see, so here, flat stop, right? You can see so here that I had a flat stop at 213. Because I was expecting we're gonna get like a lot more movement out of this, especially if we had a phase two type mover. Unfortunately, we came under VWAP, and this is where you either cut losses or maybe sell when you're up 10% on the name. But this was, I mean, usually when you have a phase two type mover, you should be you should be very excited. Yesterday we had a phase one, and usually 4 out of 5 tickers with phase one usually sell off. Usually the stronger moves are usually the phase two and phase three. But in this scenario, you can see that a phase two type ticker actually sold off, which was very surprising to me. So market goes for, so never really, trust the news, have like an, have a really overall feeling of the news, but trust the price action. If you get in, it comes back down, sell it for flat. So I initially saw this thing come up to 260, and some people in the chat room were, I just think Slim was saying that it was basing at 260 because this was a daily support area of 260, and soon enough this 260 254ish area held, and we pop up and then we hit like 350. So there was definitely opportunity in this ticker, but the sad part about it that this thing did a double top. So you gotta take into consideration like what other stocks are doing, and go from there. The ticker I did make money on was VERI, and then we're gonna go talk about VERI. VERI was a very interesting mover this morning. I was watching it as we got up in the morning around $1 or something, a buck 25 up to a buck 25. My initial long was actually 115. 115 was my initial long, and it pretty much I got out for flat, and then I bought it again at 125, and then I got out for flat again over here in this pop. And then the next trade, I bought it when it broke this high here of 130, and then we hit a 145, and I kind of got out for some profit, but not a lot. So my overall trade on it was like I traded this ticker two out of three times, and only on the third time around I pretty much went along, made money on it. So it was, even though, I mean, the thing to do here is to see the trend line. This is the trend line where you bought it, and I'm sure a lot of traders did buy just the trend line, because I did not buy the trend line. I actually shorted it, and I'll tell you the reason. It's because most stocks are not holding gains, and as you feel stocks out, if you were gonna watch my video from this morning, how this stock traded when it pushed 130. I'm gonna get you guys a video here if you don't mind me, because it's very hard to explain to you guys. It's very hard to explain to you guys how this stock traded. You can see. So if I were gonna go forward and just get you to watch level two, trading this morning, I mean, right out here, theory felt very exactly what heavy means. Uh, this is where it felt heavy. So say I bought it over here 130, right? We gotta watch some level two price action. So just watching level two here. So you can see so that we pushed into 130. So that's a pre-market high breakout. And now we're watching the level two right now here, 134, 133. And you can see that, there's a lot of volume going through, and the ticker is just stalling. You can see that, you're putting in 2 million shares on the one. You can see that we pushed to 137, flushed to 130. I mean, definitely. I mean, we broke through 130. I mean, here I'm doing the trend lines and everything, and we hit 138 there. But you can see that this is a heavy tape. You can see how much volume is in there, around 2 million per shares. And what I want you guys to see is, because this is perfectly normal, what I want you to see is like these dips, this scary ass dips in which stocks has these flushes. So you see you hit 140 there, and you're gonna see something in a little bit, in a couple of minutes here, how the ticker pretty much rolls over for like 10 cents in like a flash. So there was definitely somebody over here just hitting a market order, and it's very hard for me to show you that unless you see it live. So I'm going to try to see where it is. So you can see 140, and then I'm just going to show you guys the flush. I'm going to watch you guys this whole price action. So right here, we're at 130. So we broke pre-market highs of 130. So now we should hold 130, right? So you're going to see, so that's perfectly fine. That's normal. We push through 130. We come back down to 130. We hold. And now we're testing 140. And I want to show you something like what happened here. These flushes that, so we're almost at 139. So you can see 139 on the ask. We're about to break 140. There it is, 140. And you can see like right here, a 10-cent flush right there. So this is where I was trying to scale out at 140. And you can see these nasty ass flushes. Look at that flush. 140, 133 now. And in just like half a second, there were sellers there just selling the snot out of it. And I think I'm gonna just speed this up a bit so you guys can see. Let's see if I can speed this up. Oh, how do I speed this up video? I don't know, how do I speed? There we go. So we hit 140 again. And then there we go. So we hit 140 multiple times trying to break out. And then we have these nasty flushes coming in. There we go. And it's trading heavy volume. Heavy volume. So somebody was definitely unloading shares right about here. Was definitely unloading shares because, you know, normally they should have broke that 140 and went. It should not have, you know, went over 130, dipped to 130, and then touched 140 and went. It shouldn't have done this. You can see how we're just hesitating to break 140. So, I mean, I'll show you the recap of how this stock traded. And so we bounced off 130. That's fine. But you can see how we're in a very tight range with a lot of volume. It's not going anywhere. Look at all these ask. You can see all this ask there. They're just sitting there, and volume's going in like 1 million shares, and like that 140 is just not bulging. And when it did actually bulge, I'll even show you when it did actually bulge. So you know, I'm drawing here like how my pre-market area is supposed. So now we hit again 140. I mean, if this stock was truly strong, we should have just kept going. So it was just, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes, 5 minutes of extreme selling. And here we go at 140 again. There we go. And another gigantic flush. Look at that. Look at that gigantic flush. Look at that. That is just gigantic flush there. Like hit 130, gigantic flush to 130. So you put that. That is just very scary to see because that indicates a lot of weakness for the stock. When a stock flushes from 140 to 128, that's scary because if you're long at 130, this can dip back to VWAP and like, look at that candle. That is an abnormal red candle. So immediately I saw that this abnormal red candle just, you know, there was a lot of selling there. And even now, so say they candle and now push through 140, that's fine. So we push through 140, okay. 2 million in volume coming in. And then we have another wall. We broke by 5 cents. By 5 cents, which was nothing. So we put all this consolidation, you know, we had the dip when we hit 144, which is nothing, 4 cents over highs. That's not really, I mean, here you break the high by, you know, 130, you hit 140. And here you break the high, you made only 4 cents. I mean, if in the first breakout, hold on, let me see. My camera is like out a bit. There we go. It's working now. Okay. So now we hit 140. And now what's interesting is that we hit 144 and we pretty much we tried to break 144 multiple times. And right here, we broke out by 4 cents, only 4 cents. And now you have, you know, a reversal. I mean, once it breaks through 133 here, you have a lower low and it's dead. It's dead. So like right here, 133. This is dead. You know, you have a higher high over here only by 4 cents. You have a low, and you have a lower low, lower high, and now we have a flush to VWAP. Anyway, so that is an extreme weak. I mean, that is an indication of a top. This is when you see something like this, that's an indication of a top. A lot of traders do take this short, like 140, risking off 144, or 137, risking off 144, and usually hold this all day. You wait for it to have a lower high, and you short as it's breaking down into 135, and you don't really have to cover the whole freaking day. Anyway, so I was talking about this ticker. Um, Anyway, so I saw this weakness overall in the whole entire market today, and I was tape reading this ticker. I mean, I don't really know what the news was. The news was FDA feedback on proposed, so it wasn't really that spectacular. And soon enough, we just cleaned up all the push here was pretty much sold off. So now we have the VWAP bounce 123, and I'm like I mean, all my longs are pretty much just failing, and pretty much, fat finger it short. This is where I pretty much got tired of it. I saw how weak this is, and I'm looking at this trend, right? This is the trend. I'm looking at this trend. I'm like, this is the support area. If this thing cracks, if this support area, this line cracks, the stock is dead. I mean, this is the utmost support area. Like, you buy it here, you buy it here, you buy it here, you buy it here, you buy it here. If this area cracks, I mean, it's a trend change. And soon enough, I fat fingered it just above VWAP at 130.25 with a crap load of shares short. That was like, I don't know how many shares I got short here at 125. It was around 40,000 shares, to tell you the truth. My borrow fees were over $1,000. I'm not gonna talk about my borrow fees, but they were over $1,000. It cost me $1,000 or more just to borrow 40,000 shares, which was a lot of money to borrow. Not gonna talk about my borrow fees. And I fat finger it right there, and this is where the trend changes, right here. I mean, if this thing cracks underneath 125, I mean, it's dead. It's dead. It's pretty much dead. And I took it short 125 there, and you're gonna see what happens into this death candle that pretty much came and liquidated everybody in. I mean, the news was pretty weak on this ticker, I would have to say. The news on it was FDA feedback on proposed IMC. So, you got a couple of things going for the ticker. We're in the fourth week, and we got to look at the SPY as well. We're in the fourth week. We got a couple of things going for this. We're in the fourth week of bullish action. The SPY is going red. Most sell-offs are pretty much selling. We're on a Tuesday. Usually Tuesday, the momentum from Monday doesn't last into Tuesday. So usually Monday is the strongest day of the week, and usually Tuesday is weaker than Monday. So you have the SPY going down. You have the Tuesday day when things are weaker. You have fluffy news. You have a stock that's pretty much, very heavy up top and just giving up all its gains and pushing into this resistance. And then you have this trend line. You have fluffy news, and then you have pretty much a liquidation of this stock, because the flow was around 14 million, so they pretty much liquidated the whole thing. There weren't that many buyers in this market to keep this stock moving on this news. The float wasn't big enough, the volume wasn't big enough, the excitement wasn't big enough. The SPY is actually having a very red day. If you see the overall SPY market right now, we're down about 3, 4, 5 points. I don't know. Dow's down 500 points. So the SPY is red, and we're actually, as you look at the SPY, we're actually having our first red day As you can see, so here we're kind of just, we were in a bullish pattern, and now we're kind of just flushing through into a bearish pattern. So, all these indication got me to really increase the size of my short, and we should soon enough see the crash. So here, so I shorted like 126 area. This is the area that you're gonna see the crash where I did. So I started. So my trade number 3. There we go. So trade number 4 was short. You can see, so here I made my notes here. As you can see, I gave my notes here. You had like a lot of things failing. You had VERI failed to break pre-market highs. BXRX failed to break pre-market highs. CXI failed to break pre-market highs. So my indication was to be bearish on this ticker. CXI actually did end up going higher. You can see so here, but it rejected in the pre-market multiple times, right about there. And then you have BXRX that was complete flop. That got me the idea to get in short on this ticker with a really big size here, because the float was pretty high, the news was fluffy, it was just not going. And soon enough we had a trend change break here of 124. It was also on a Tuesday. You have lots of things. So now we're gonna see the nice flush on it. So you guys can understand, like, the trend change on it. So we're gonna see a nice flush. Right now VWAP is the red line to around 124. So once that thing crashes through, it's pretty much game over for this ticker, because there's no coming back from this 120% gapper is a very much of a gap and crap. We're in the 4th week of a bullish market cycle, and the SPY is red, and we're at the beginning of a bear cycle, and probably is gonna finish off in like a week, this bearish cycle of these tickers. So now we're gonna see, so right now they're holding it by a thread, 124. 124 is VWAP there. I'm gonna see the nice flush. They're still trying to buy it. So let's see the flush. We're still trying to buy it off 124, which is VWAP. And soon enough, we're just have a nice flush candle of all these VWAP buyers. There we go. I'm just speeding it up. There we go. So there we go. So there's 124. That's VWAP. So once this gets taken out, it's game over for this ticker. There's 124 on the bid. There's the trend line support. So it's exactly at the, there we go. So you can see how that flushed 4 cents in like a half a second. You see that? So we were at 124 there, and we touched VWAP, and VWAP also coincided with trend support, which is 124. There it is, right there. That's the trend support. That is the area that must hold for this ticker, where the buyers were supposed to be at, and the buyers were not there. And in like 1 second, since everybody recognized that the buyers are not there, we flushed by 4 cents into 120. There we go. So you see, like 1 second, the buyers were not there. We flushed in 1 second from 124 to 120. And I believe this breakdown here took this stock down to $1. If I'm not, look at that flush. Everybody's just bailing, because everybody that bought here is pretty much stuck with an empty bag. So these people are just evacuating with all these shares out, because it's a trend support breakdown. You can see how fast this thing flushes just so quickly like that. And soon enough we were at 115. I think we went to a low of $1. And actually, there we go. There's the flush. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that flush. You see that? That is a huge flush. That is a 15 cent flush in a minute. You're up 10% on your money, because everybody's trying to get out. Everybody's heading for the exits. And in 1 minute, just goes like a freaking kamikaze like that. That's beautiful to see as a short seller. Look at that. That is just beautiful to see how everybody's just panicking, hitting market order. Forget this. This is breaking down. It also broke opening range, and the stock never really came back down. So I'm just sitting here with my 125 short, throughout the whole day, and I actually should have held some. Um, I actually should have held some for a little longer, but soon enough. So this is the crack. This is the big crack. It never came back from this. So now I'm holding. Now in my mind, it's all break even. I mean, if the stock comes back and reclaims VWAP, which highly doubt it, is just gonna come, come reclaim VWAP and come back up, which it never did. And soon enough, that was pretty much the end of the trade there because that is the hard part. And soon enough, we just flushed and we're at 80 cents now from my 125 is short. 80 cents from, so if I were gonna calculate, 125 minus 79 equals 46 cents, divided that by 126, that's a 36% gain. That's a 36% gain. So I made a 36% gain, shorting it here and covering it here. Pretty good, pretty good. My overall profit came to, let's see, my overall profit like at around $1.20. I was up like 1K over here for my 126 short, and overall after I went through all this crap, I'm up to 13,186 on my amazing short of this ticker, amazing ticker to short. Now at 85, covered most of my shares at 85, made 45 cents a share. 45 cents a share. That is a lot of money for 45 cents a share, 126. That's a 35% gain on a short. This is the opportunity that is possible to you got to understand like what you're doing. The market just tanked today, and so that helped a lot. You had weak news, market tanking. You had a Tuesday following a Monday, really big move. You have the fourth week, so you had all these indications. If I were gonna put them all on Paint Shop, so you had a couple of things. I mean, if I were gonna write them down, you had Tuesday are usually weaker, so Tuesday runner are usually weaker than Monday. That's probably number one. Gappers are all selling off. That's probably number one. So all these things, if I were gonna put them here, um, gapping, weak news, weak news. Um, float is like, I don't know, eight. Is it like 15 million? So it wasn't a micro float. It was just a lower float. So it was like a medium float. Medium float. So oh, Tuesday runners, most runners fail to break high of the day. SPY went red. Heavy tape in the 130s to 145s. Big flushes. Big flushes. I think it was 10-cent flushes. 10 to 15 cent 1 minute flushes, and it was just not going. Not going. So all these indications, all these indicators right here made I mean, you might want to write these down because these is gonna be very helpful for you guys if you were gonna trade. I think a month from now, because we're still in a bear cycle. Probably in a week or two is we're probably gonna be in a stronger bullish cycle. And but this is gonna be very helpful. Probably for another 2 days, I would have to say, because they always try to give you a mixed bag of tickers. SPY went red. Most runners failed. Float is the news is weak. I think the news was I don't know what the news was, but something like FDA shares ride after FDA feedback, initial feedback on its face, featuring very, very, very interesting because normally phase 3 is usually pretty strong and phase 2 is pretty strong. So yesterday we had a phase 1 that was, I don't think I was ENAB. So ENAB was a phase 1. It went from like, I don't know, like 250 to like 4. And now we had, a phase 2 BXRX that died. And then you had another phase 3 something positive feedback on their phase 3 that it didn't hold gains. It didn't hold gains. And you got to trust the price action. It was very easy to borrow. Fees were low. And soon enough, that was the trade. It was a great trade, to tell you the truth. A 37% trade, 37% trade, shorting in 126, out in the 120, 85-ish range. That's about it, guys. That's about it. I stream each and every day. I tell my thoughts. That's kind of like how everything happened, and that's about it. I don't have really. Let me see if the chat messages. I don't see any chat messages out there. So that's about it. Make sure you join me in my Discord room each and every day at around 1 o'clock. 7 o'clock. We're definitely favor most tickers definitely favors um most tickers definitely favor bears nowadays. But it's been a fun day trading these tickers. I'm savage. Thank you. I'm savage today. Trust me. I've been very I'm very tired. I think I have a little bit of a red eyes. If you guys see, the reddish eyes get to you once you wake up at around 7 o'clock in the morning each day, because I have a routine. Wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning and then finish up at 10:30 to 11. Have hard stops and take a nap and then do a video and then try to unwind. So it's definitely a savage trade, but you got to understand there's 3 more days of this week. I think it's going to be a little bit weaker, and throughout this week we're going to have one of these low flows that just goes crazy and squeezes all this amateur shorts, because there's going to be amateur shorts that think that this is easy, which is definitely hard, and they're going to put in a micro float in there and it's going to blow you up. Trading is very hard and is very counterintuitive. As soon as you think you got it, it goes the opposite. If you feel like it's easy and this is like what you should be doing or something, and it's usually you're wrong most of the time. Trust the price action and have hard stops and go through my course. At one point, I did hit BXRX multiple times, and because I hit it long and short, and one of my rule books from my book, because I have a rule book that I do talk. You can see so here that I pretty much told the chat once that trend broke in Viri, this is the trend I was talking to you guys about. It pretty much was dead. This is the gigantic flush. So at one point I was trading in multiple times, and I pretty much came. See, I have rules here. This is rule number 9. So if I over traded it multiple times, because I had a period in which I was buying it and it was just not working, and it's very good to get out because I didn't have the right uh, heartbeat on the stock. So if you get in and get out and you lose twice, you get out completely. But there was a lot of heavy tape in the 130s and to 140s. And if you watch that tape again of how this stock traded and how easily they dropped the bid on you, and they pretty much dropped this support trend line, which was supposed to hold. That was the trend line which must hold. Um, you would have taken that trade too. I felt like taking that trade because I'm like, why the f is this is not going? Because normally it should have went going. So I traded it and it wasn't going, and I'm like, why is it not going? Then I recognized like there's a lot of selling, and then I went like, I took a big chunk of a short position and I just went in. You never know where the stock is going. You bet initially with a small size or tiny size, or you do the simulator, but when you see heavy tape and it's not going and you have 15-cent flushes like we have here, That's a 15-cent flush from 142 to 125. It's a humongous flush. And you just hold on and you just, take your short at it. I'm sure there's going to be a day as soon as you feel comfortable this stock is this strategy to be working, they're going to flip on you. So do not try to apply this to all tickers. It doesn't work, but you have to understand, what it takes to be a trader. This is, you have to go through this mind checklist. This is a huge checklist. You just can't come in and click buy or sell because it's just you have to go through this checklist in your brain. What day is it? How were the stocks yesterday? What kind of news does it have? What kind of flow does it have? What kind of volume? What are the other stocks doing? What's the overall market doing? What's the tape saying? Is it heavy? Is it light? Why is it going? Is it not going? All these things will give you an indication whether to size up or pretty much don't trade that ticker or ban the ticker. So that's it for me, guys. Make sure you watch the tape. Get yourself understand what you're doing. Trading is hard. Trading is hard, and trading is very stressful, and you can burn out very easy. Try not to trade after 11 to 12. Try to recharge your batteries because it's hard enough to wake up at 7 and trade perfectly from 7 to about 10:30 to 11 because you just even for 3 hours I do burn out, and you just have to turn it off in the middle of price action. And if you do, just put a hard stop as if you're short, and live to trade another day. Don't burn out, and don't trade after 11, and do your personal checklist. Other than that, it was a great trade for me. We had some new members. Slim was coming in, and he was very excited that I have rules that he needs to study. Yesterday, I was going through some of my rules that I have broken. I think we were going on a typical phase 2, 3, 4 trial. How do they usually act? This market was a little bit different because, you had a phase 1 ENAP that squeezed everybody to hell from 150 to like 4, and then you had, one phase 2 and one phase 3, but the volume said differently. I mean, even though my course says, yo, this is a phase 2, I mean, the price action says differently. If it's phase 2, does not mean buy it. If it's a phase 3, does not mean to buy it. If it's a phase 1, does not mean automatically short it. Trust the price action. You can get a general idea, that 4 out of 5 stocks usually are strong with a phase 2 or phase 3, but the majority of them, they could just flop on you like this. This is a phase 2, and this is, I think, is a phase 3 or something. BXRX the phase 3. Just because it has a merger next to it doesn't mean it's gonna go up. Just because it has acquisition to it doesn't mean it's gonna go up. It's a benefit to you knowing that that most of them do go up, but it tries the price action. If you see heavy tape, you have to short because it will just die on you, and you'll be like, well, I thought all mergers go up. They don't. All phase 2 go up. They don't. All phase 3 go up. They don't. All phase 1 all phase 1 biotechs go down. They don't. They can sometimes go from 2 to 4 and then die. And by the time you think it's going to go down, it's too late. So trust what you see and trade what you see, and then and that's about it. You guys have a good one. Hope this is not red. I don't know if this is streaming or not. But you guys have a good one, and see you all in my next video. Yep, yeah, we're done. Yeah, we're done. Make sure you hit the link in the description below and join the Discord page, or get the course. But we're pretty much done. See you all tomorrow. Peace out.